Roderick, thank you so much for joining me for this discussion on local news. We did a quick introduction to what you do, but would love to get it in your voice. Tell us a little bit about what you do day to day and your organization.
Sure. I am the owner and operator of Fireside Publishing House in Lindsay, Ontario, in the Kawartha Lakes region. And we do something rare these days. We have a print first ecosystem of media, including a monthly glossy magazine with news and features, a weekly newspaper, and a twice annual lifestyle magazine, as well as an annual newcomers guide and visitor publication.
It's been really fascinating doing this series on the show because we have talked to so many people who work in local news or run newspapers. And one of the things that they mention is two terms that we don't think a lot about in 2025, which is print first. So can you talk about how do you make that viable and how does the community respond?
I think first you have to be in the right area. I don't think we could do what we do in downtown Toronto or Montreal and so on. So we do have a population that's open to print that is particularly interested in having print in their lives. We actually just completed a reader survey to better determine who are the readers of this publication that's been around since 2017 in glossy magazine format, never missed a month. And by and large, 61% of those readers are print only, and 23% read both, and only 15% read just online. So we're in the right area for print, geographically speaking, but we also create products where the content matters. And I can't underscore that enough. There's lots of magazines around, including in our area, that just simply don't have anything to say. And if you don't have anything to say, you're not going to be successful.
Let's dive into that a little bit because I think to your point about, again, running a print publication in this digital first world, I mean, it is unique in itself. But when you talk about having something to say and opinions, the truth is that people can get a lot of that, maybe too much on social media. So what do you think it is about that print experience that is drawing people into the magazine and other things that you're doing?
And when I say have something to say, I don't necessarily mean controversial and opinion. I just mean write about stuff that matters. And that can be a balanced article. And in fact, that's what we aim for, whether we're writing about the tariff war or other important local issues here, business, the arts, whatever. Just make it matter what you're saying. Actually get out and talk to people. So many magazines seem like they're half AI generated these days, where they're ad focused first, and that is our revenue model. But the way it works for us is people are in love with our magazines because, including from an advertiser perspective, because they know people are reading it. They're one of those people who are reading it, and it's just simply because we write stories that matter and have a little bit of opinion as well.
As a former journalist and someone who certainly keeps my ear close to the ground when it comes to what's happening in journalism, I would also argue that perhaps one of the reasons that people are really turning and loyal to publications like yours is that you've been able to build trust. That is really hard to do in the digital world more and more. Can you talk a little bit about the role that you play in the community as that voice of trust?
You are so correct that trust is important, and print has an advantage inherently um, with the trust factor because if you look at studies, that's it's also how we gain advertisers. Quite frankly, is because we point out that studies consistently show that print, just by its very nature, it feels more permanent, it feels more serious, and therefore people are taking it more seriously, both the stories and the advertising content. So building trust, we do also as part of our self-imposed mandate. We hold community events, whether we're hosting debates or a panel discussion. We have plans this coming year to talk, have a to talk about a Meet the Writers event or to talk about ways we can improve our community. We host stuff like that, and that engenders trust.
When you zoom out a little bit from your corner of Canada and you look at the media landscape, one of the things I wanted to ask you about is the impact that big social media companies like Meta have had on local news. What is your opinion right now in terms of the state of local news?
I'm worried for it, quite frankly. I'm happy we're doing well here, but as a citizen of this country, I'm definitely worried. As you talk about that, we're running the risk of losing independent voices and relying only on social media um, for our news and opinions, and even that is under siege because of the Meta ban. So, strangely enough, or maybe not strangely enough, because we are print first, it hasn't had too much of an effect on us because of our status being primarily print. We did lose a lot of our following when we would share our stories and so on, and we've got to go around on that. Don't tell Meta um, for some of our story sharing, but by and large, we're just slowly growing that and hoping the policies change to um, have them back in the news sharing business. But we're not dependent on that, and I don't know what the answer is nationally for those communities that are deserts, as you said, that don't have a Lindsay Advocate or a Kawartha Lakes weekly paper like we have. I feel for those people who aren't getting the local news that they need.
So, when we think about the future of this country, and again, going back to the media landscape that we're in right now, what can people do to support local news organizations like yours?
Well, there's literal support that we certainly are not afraid of asking for, and that's make a. It's not a donation because you don't get a tax receipt, but support us with a monetary some monetary help each month, whether it's $10 or $100 a year or whatever a person can afford. That's the first step to show if this matters to you, and it does to people, then show us support that way, and attend our events, be helpful in terms of news ideas, and frequent the places who are advertising with us.
You know, in some ways, as difficult as this time is for many local news and media organizations, I think it does present a bit of opportunity. I think through this series, we've seen that. We've seen some of these local news organizations that are getting really creative and innovative with their business models. We've seen some that, again, are creating content that is really just unique and provides great context to that community where people are actually living at that time. You mentioned being a little bit worried about the future of local news in this country. Is there any sort of silver lining to this disruption that we're feeling?
I guess the silver lining I see is that people are even younger generations are increasingly open to print if there just are if we could find the right number of people in the right areas to revive and resuscitate some of the print publications that are needed. Um, that helps us get around anything like the meta ban. It helps us avoid the algorithms that are so obviously dividing us as a people, right? As Canadian citizens, um, I worry about that aspect of what digital media is doing to us, and I even those publishers whose hearts are in the right place and trying to provide news, it's difficult online because you don't, as a reader, as a consumer of news, I'm not getting a thoughtfully curated publication as I am when I pick up a magazine. Some editor took the time to put together stories, whether it's for the Globe and Mail, Toronto Life, or wherever. Those stories were handpicked to provide me as a reader with a variety of things to read, and we're not getting that when we get our news just online unless we really dig.
There's also something that's happening, I think, right now where some people are conflating clicks with success. I see this everywhere on the internet, like, oh, my video got 4 million views. Like, this is successful, even though if it's a video about something that, again, people just hate it, it doesn't seem to matter. Like, we've lost that long-term lens. So I think it is, again, a really difficult time, but I think there is opportunity that does exist thanks to people like you and leaders like you in communities. So I just wanted to thank you for coming on the show today. For people who want to check out what you do, where's the best place for them to go?
They can go to lindsayadvocate.ca and find our magazines all listed there under magazines, as well as our small weekly newspaper.
Excellent. And a big shout out to Erica M., who was telling me about what you're doing and said you have to speak to Roderick. So big shout out to Erica. She is a great community leader, and you're lucky to have her in your community.
Absolutely. Thank you to Erica for being an occasional columnist. And this whole community is better with her in it.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thanks, Amber.